Paranormal Playback is a podcast where we recap the spooky and entertaining world that is paranormal reality TV. We are hosted by Acast. Warning: Paranormal Playback contains amusing stories about bros, hair gel, and we suspect Axe body spray, as well as dark stories, which may include suicide, pregnancy loss, abortion, sexual assault, and murder. It is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hold on.
This is going to be like my, I don't know, what am I doing?
You just carry a bunch of shit, put on your belt, like grab something off your belt.
Yeah, I've got like stuff on my belt. I got equipments. Hi everybody. Welcome to this episode.
I don't think equipments is plural. I think it's just equipment.
Shh, wait, I'm getting something.
Welcome to the newest. Oh, sorry. Hello. Did you catch an EVP?
The ghosts like it.
Oh my God.
Shh.
Shh. Hey,
Are you rolling?
For those who cannot see us, we are now on YouTube, so you can go there and check us out. I don't know what our YouTube address is yet. I'm going to assume it's like youtube.tv/paranormal activity.
it'll be at YouTube.
Paranormal Playback.
YouTube.com.
YouTube.com/paranormal playback is probably where we're at, but don't quote me on that. We will let you know.
Mm-hmm.
I will insert an overlay here that says what we are. Char here to let you know that the correct address is youtube.com/paranormal playback pod. You can head over there to see us dressed up as one Zak Bagans, Aaron Goodwin, and Nick Groff.
I'm Nick Groff.
And I'm Zak Bagans.
We had to do this in honor of the newest episode of Ghost Adventures, season 29, episode 1. We were so lucky to actually be able to watch it. And we launched our podcast just in time to catch the newness. But before we get into that, how are you guys doing?
Lauren?
The audience or us?
You guys, the audience cannot respond to me.
Hey, maybe we were taking an EVP, okay, when we get playback.
Or the ghosts. Are we asking the ghosts?
Sorry, let me turn on my night vision camera and try to record this. No,
I have a baby monitor I can use, which is apparently a new piece of equipment.
I know. I thought about that. I was like, oh, Mel's talked about the baby monitors before.
Anything that has like a radio wave it can be used.
Yes.
If you think about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just got back from my trip to Long Island, as you guys know. While I was there, I decided to take a little detour with my husband and one of my best friends who was there with me. And we decided to go by the Amityville Horror House. Have you guys ever been
So
by?
did you said that it was blocked off, or you just said no trespassing?
So they went to great lengths to try to deter people from going there. So they changed the windows on the house so that it's not as noticeable. Like if you're driving by, you don't immediately know it's the house from the movie. And then there is a sign that says no trespassing. It's a neighborhood. People live there. So
why would the windows being changed make it so
because it looks like a face. The window shape is like iconic.
It's in the movie. Gotcha. The windows look like eyes.
Yeah.
So, and they like in the movie, they like have them turn red, like as if like it's the face of the house that's possessed.
But that's the house, right? Or that's the film house. I thought they were the same.
No, yeah, they are the same. That's the house that the murders actually happened in.
I didn't know. They probably did this on purpose. I didn't know it was like in a neighborhood. The way they filmed it made it look like it was like in a remote lake and there were not houses right next door. You know?
No, there's literally houses right next door. And there is a lake it's like the bay. There's like the bay and it's like a little inlet where people have their boats and stuff that's right there. But it's a beautiful neighborhood. It's stunning. Like it's old Victorian houses, which we know Melanie loves.
Well, who doesn't love?
Who doesn't love an old Victorian house?
My significant other.
Oh.
Well, who
That's
cares
true.
about him?
I know.
That's very true. If it were up to Micaiah, we would be living in a very modern home.
Yep.
Which I wouldn't be opposed to, but we just can't afford.
No, actually,
those massive
my
modern homes.
cousins and Char, I think you know this, and I don't know Mel. My family lives in New York too, and
Where
I
did
have
they live?
Well, I have a lot of cousins that actually live in Amityville, and they had
Oh, yeah.
friends that lived in that house.
What?
What? I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Do they still live there?
No.
Give me some tea.
I'll have to reach out to them.
Find out if anything. I mean, I've heard that a lot of the people who've lived there since have had no activity. So I don't know if maybe
Yeah, I
somebody,
don't
like,
think that there's ever been recorded activity since that one family.
yeah.
That's why I
the
think
dude
that
claimed he was possessed and killed his family.
Yeah, I think that's why they thought this whole thing was a hoax, because there has not been anything recorded since that one family.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, on top of that, since I was in Amityville, I figured, well, you know, Massapequa is not that far from Amityville. It's a short little hop, skip, and a jump. And that's where the Long Island serial killer lived. So we then hopped over to Massapequa to check out the Long Island serial killer's house. And I will say that was extremely creepy.
Oh my god, yeah. I had just when you sent that photo, I had recently finished watching the Long Island or Gone Girls or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks the same.
It looks the same as it did in the movie, but it, like, when you're driving by it, all the other houses around it are like, they maintain their lawns and they're in decent shape. And this house was just like really depressing looking. Like the paint is peeling off of it. You can tell like they did not touch the house at all in the last however many years. So definitely a super, super creepy place.
Well, I mean, when you're murdering people, you kind of don't really have time to keep
you're
up with your
super
house.
busy, like plotting and scheming and killing.
That has always been my like thing about like murdering people. It's like I've never wanted to murder someone because it's always so much work. Like having to clean up afterwards, like that just sounds exhausting.
I also
just
think
that reason.
That's the
I
only
know.
reason.
I mean, just like having like it's the murdering part, but then having to the taking care of it afterwards, like the cleaning up and then having to lie and
but
just
also like how quickly, like especially people who murder somebody like on the in the spur of the moment type of thing, like how quickly you need to come up with
a plan,
backstory and a plan. Like I was like, man, I can't think that fast.
No,
Oh,
I
I
would
know.
never.
No way.
That's like, I don't know how anybody could ever be confident enough to be like, yeah, I could do this and I could get away with it. Never in a million years would I think that about myself, no matter how much research I did. I'd be like, oh, just the fact that I did research, I'm not going to get away with it.
Right, exactly.
That's why it needs to be like a totally random person.
Well,
and not somebody that you know.
That's why you need to be like a literal psychopath to.
Yes, it needs to be like.
So we are safe from you murdering us, Lauren.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Not because she doesn't want to, but because it would be hard.
It would just be too much work.
Exactly. Well, this newest episode of Ghost Adventures was 2 hours long.
Segue to the episode.
Segue.
So long. I have so many thoughts. So just to remind everyone, this is Mel. Sorry if my voice is a little off.
You mean, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
You're Nick. And where's your gold beryllium microphone?
Right here. I had it right here.
There we go.
The ghosts really like
let's see if we
the sparkles
capture.
And the crystals. It makes them make more ghostly sounds.
It gets them excited.
Yeah. It gets, you know what? I love a good crystal. A nice bling.
I mean, who doesn't? I would be drawn to that microphone. I'd be like, give it to me. Let me sing a tune. Can we do karaoke?
But yeah, so I'm coming in having never watched Ghost Adventures other than the first 4 episodes we've done. So going from 2008 to 2025, I was prepared for a huge jump in a lot of things, but I was not prepared for the wardrobe to be the same.
It's the same, but it's different.
No.
It's a little different.
He has a popped collar.
He did.
He popped polo collar.
But which he did not wear before.
Listen, That's
know.
actually a little bit. That's in style now.
That's
No.
a little
in
more
style. We
modern.
have to give a little
Yeah.
credit. We
But
have to
that's in
give a little
style
credit.
because the early 2000s are in style for some reason.
Exactly. He also had on a fitted, which was much more of the time today than it was back then. And he had
Wait, a fitted what?
Oh, okay, a fitted cap. They call them
Oh.
fitteds.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was like, a fitted what?
Oh, maybe that's a New York thing.
Is that a New York thing?
Hey guys, let us know if that's just like a New York, like Northeast thing, or if you guys all knew what I meant when I said fitted. But a fitted cap. So
I'm like, a fitted what? What
I
are we
know.
talking
I know.
about here?
I was like, did you just like glitch?
a fitted cap is usually like the wider brim, flat brimmed hats that you'll see like guys wear from sports and stuff. From sports.
From the sports
I am
games?
talking about. From the sports games. My mustache is coming off, so I don't know how long it's going to last.
Honestly,
through this podcast.
right. I love that. I want it to just slowly fall
Actually,
off.
you need to give me your goatee because he's got that goatee going on now.
I literally thought the same thing, and he has transition glasses on that they don't just get
Is that
darker.
what they were?
They were transitions. Okay, we just jumped right into the intro of the show, and I forgot to say, this is Ghost Adventures, Season 29, Episode 1, Poltergeist House, Simi Valley, California.
And can I say that this is a really exciting location?
Episode? Oh, yeah. No, this was great.
Confused, though, when they were like, it's the Poltergeist house. And I've seen Poltergeist, like, one.
Oh, you didn't know, like, the whole curse behind it?
In the movie? I mean, I've seen the movie when I was a kid, but like it's a film location, and then there's the movie, and like there's a lot of
there was a lot of intermingling of stuff,
like the actual yeah.
So that confused me.
Well, before we get into all of the theories behind how this becomes something worth haunting, we meet Jay and Billy. I don't have their last names. I just know it said Jay and Billy. Who I lovingly referred to as BJ until I was able to figure out which one was which because they look so similar. But we no longer have our lovely Nick Groff.
I know.
He has become a ghost on the show.
I know.
This is like kind of crazy because I knew that something was up. I knew Nick wasn't on the show anymore, but I did not know it was because he and Zak happened to have like a falling out.
Well,
and
I saw like a post that he did. It was like, I'm coming back to Ghost Adventures. But that was April Fool's Day.
It was the April Fool's joke. And he said that he was going to bring his wife back with him. And I think everybody was like, ha ha ha, that's so funny because you hate Zak.
Yeah, I just figured that was like, there was some joke with his wife that I didn't get.
But we do have to explain that this is not the first time that Jay and Billy have been here, but this is the first time we're covering.
Yes. So we have not covered anything other than season 1 up till this point. So Jay and Billy are introduced, I think, like much early, like probably in season, I don't know, 17 or something. We're at season 29. It's been a long time. And I don't know when Nick left, but yeah. I mean, because we haven't watched. Melanie especially has not seen.
I don't know what's going on.
She has no idea. Like she turned it on and was like, where is my lovely Nick? We love our Nick Groff.
Yeah, I was
and
like,
why
why is the collar popped? Oh my God, his arms are ginormous.
Yeah. Another thing too, and we stopped at episode 4. And I actually jumped to episode 5 before this new season. And Mel, you missed it. Episode 5 is right where they started bringing in the nerve center.
Oh my God.
I know. So like, it was like right when like everything kind of like started like transitioning into like modern ghost adventures.
How funny.
Well, yeah. So like,
why did Nick, do we know, what's their beef?
Okay, so I got the tea.
Okay,
tell us. I want to know what. I want to know what happened.
Okay, so I got the deets. So Nick and Zak kind of had a little bit of a falling out, and it was a little bit of a extreme charge departure between the two of them. So here's the thing: Zak he went a little bit silent when Nick left. So we weren't really sure why they departed. But Nick was actually vocal online about why he left. And apparently Nick's opinion about Zak was he was all about the fame. He wasn't about the paranormal. And he kind of like lost sight about why they kind of got into the paranormal hunting, ghost hunting.
I mean, I don't know that he was wrong in all of that.
No.
I don't think that Zak today is necessarily quite as bad as all of that, but I think that the fame got to his head at some point, and I'm sure that that probably pissed Nick off after a while.
Yeah. So, and then also, I guess as they were kind of going through the episodes, and I guess we'll see this once we jump back into the earlier seasons, they were kind of cutting his role, kind of like minimizing his role in the further episodes. So I guess like it was kind of pissing him off and saying he wanted to be the star of the show. Zak wanted to be the star of the show and wanted to be like, you know, I guess the fame was getting to his head.
Aren't they both EPs? Wouldn't they have both been EPs?
I don't
executive producers. Sorry,
I know, but I don't know like what the percentage was. So like maybe Zak had a bigger like percentage and he had more creative control, and you know, because he is more of like the host.
Yeah, he's like, I'm joined by my fellow investigator, Nick Groff.
Yeah. So like maybe he had more creative control and Nick was more of a supporting role. You know, Nick, his role was more minimized throughout the seasons. So Nick was frustrated. So he kind of like, you know, left on bad terms. But I think it was interesting that Zak never really acknowledged any of that. He kind of just like kind of ignored the whole thing.
Yeah, I kind of wonder. I just based on what I've seen so far with Zak and like the little I know, I feel like his feelings were really hurt by Nick leaving, but I don't know that he was capable of taking the feedback at that time.
Yeah, it's always those with the biggest egos that can never take it.
Yeah. Well, also, I'm curious on what actually was happening behind closed doors. Like, I'm wondering if Zak was like, "Look at what's happening! Look at how famous we're getting!" You know, and wanting Nick to come along for the ride and being like, let's do all these things. And Nick is wanting to humble him a little bit. And, you know, maybe he was trying to pump the brakes and Zak was like, no, what are you talking about? Like, this is our moment. And, you know, and that's kind of like where they were butting heads. So that's just a theory of mine.
Or maybe Zak. Or maybe Nick found out.
Wait. Does Mel have a theory?
Yes.
I have a
theory.
Mel's
got a theory.
Mel's
got a theory.
We need a theme song.
Mel's got a theory.
Kind of two theories. One, maybe Zak wanted to start faking things for the ratings or like amping up the drama or misleading certain things in the cutting.
Point.
I was just going to say
wasn't into that. Or I have another theory. Maybe Zak was in on it with the producers about them rigging things, and Nick found out about it, and he fucking rage quit. Because of it wasn't authentic.
Nick, let's just say this. Nick Groff, if you're listening,
give us a scoop.
If you want to come on our show and explain to us what happened,
that would be great.
Between you and Zak.
How I look personally.
We have a gold beryllium microphone you could borrow if you'd like.
We got a gold beryllium microphone.
Authentic.
We are huge Nick Groff fans, so we would not be mad if you wanted to come on and just, you know what? You don't even have to tell us about your relationship with Zak. We wouldn't even ask about that.
Yeah.
We really just want to know if you ever saw anybody faking anything on the show. That to me would be such a huge, like, please tell us.
It's probably under NDA.
I know. Stop. Don't ruin it.
I won't. It's probably under NDA.
Let me dream, okay?
Or we could just ask him about some ghost stories. And like
tell us what the creepiest thing is that happened on the show.
Or before the show. How did you get into this together?
Yes. You know what, Nick Groff, we just want to know about you.
Yeah.
What's your history?
But actually, some more about Nick. He went on to create another show with Katrina Weidman. It's called Paranormal Lockdown.
Oh, man, they love a lockdown.
Should we check it out?
Yeah,
See if it's any good.
Yeah.
I would love to.
I mean, we share a name.
Yeah,
Paranormal.
So original.
Because
in
that's
this
so
world.
uncommon.
So weird.
Anyway, okay, so we are now. Thank you, Lauren, for the Nick Groff Zak Rift tea. We are now going to the Poltergeist house in Simi Valley, California. I did look up because I was trying to orient myself where Simi Valley is. It looks like it's about northwest of Santa Monica or so. And then there is a lot of lore around the movie and the things that happened to the people who were in it. So we open up on the guys inside of their cars driving to the house, and they're like they were on cell phones.
We skipped something that was probably like NBD to you guys, but I came over here from 2008, so I'm just gonna like back it up.
Okay, the intro.
The intro. You know, I'm
yes.
coming from Creed, and
I actually like the intro, and
yeah,
Mel,
way
I want to
better.
hear your take.
Yeah, the production quality. You know, we've got drones.
Drones. Oh, the aerial.
Yeah, we've got the aerial
great.
drone shots. However, it did still start. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you glitched. I was like, what?
No, you said hold on.
Did I say hold on?
Yes, you just
you literally did. And then I was like,
and then Melanie paused, and then nothing happened.
And then you thought I glitched because I paused when you told me to hold. Were you possessed?
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So Zach of you to take my moment. Okay.
I'm sorry. Stop talking.
Back up.
You are talking way too much.
Okay, but the intro does.
You're taking my moment here.
I know. Constantly fighting with Zach for the spotlight.
Don't take Zach's spotlight.
Okay.
I'm just over here afraid, guys. I'm scared of everything.
I know. Guys, the intro starts with this, I mean, truly insightful, like, inspiring line that really makes you think. Some people believe in ghosts. Some people don't.
I saw that. And I was like, that is so original. How did they come up with that one? What? I actually was like, oh, that is the premise of our podcast.
when you boil it down to brass tacks.
Okay, so the intro actually reminded me of like American Horror Story / like the Seven type of
the sound of the music reminded me of American Horror Story specifically.
Yeah.
Like
and actually
The Ring.
The intro made me happy because I'm like, oh, this is what like I know what Ghost Ventures is to me. You know? Because this is what I don't want to say what I grew up on, but this is like what I know of what Ghost Adventures is.
Right, like what it becomes.
What it becomes. Like, this is what it is to me.
Huh. That's funny. Yeah, it had like all the spooky, like it was definitely higher production quality. They do still get a shot in there of the boys and then the new boys, backup boys, all
Ghost
like
boys
walking towards camera from like a really low camera angle right at dusk kind of thing. But yeah, it was a much higher quality other than that intro line. Yeah, that hook is just
some people do, some people don't.
And like the mnemonic that they use, like that, like they also, I think they use it like in their transitions too.
Yeah, I was just about to try to make the sound myself, but that wouldn't. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I will say the car moment though you were talking about I felt like I was watching the Kardashians. I was like, whoa, we got the GoPros in the cars now. It's so weird. It's like so different.
It was like weird. It was a weird shot of both of them in their cars with the GoPros and driving down the road as they're getting ready to approach the house, and they're talking to each other.
But I think that's more common with
separate cars, though.
Like, I wasn't.
Why
sure
couldn't all three of them? Why couldn't all three of them just go in one car?
It was 4 of them.
Yeah, but wasn't Zach in a car by himself?
No, that other guy that's like quiet. Someone else was in there with him.
I swear, Zach. Okay, I need to go back and look. I could have sworn that Zach was in a car by himself, and then Aaron and like BJ, one of them, was in a car.
No, he was with someone because when he pulled up to the house, he was like, "Oh my god, there it is," and someone else was like, "Oh my god."
Anyway, so they're driving there, and Zach tells us, like, as he's explaining to the guys how excited he is about the Poltergeist house, he's explaining that he owns the clown from the movie in his haunted museum. So Zach explains the premise of the Poltergeist being that a family unknowingly moves into a home that was built on Native American burial ground. He tells us that the actual home the movie was shot in was actually built on Shumash, which is a native tribe, Shumash native burial ground as well.
Okay, so I haven't done research on the actual movie itself, but what came first? The screenplay and the location?
So, so the house was at 4267 Roxbury Street in Simi Valley, California, which is in its credits. And it's pretty aggressively suburban. It was built in 1979, just like every other stucco palace of that era. 4 beds, 2.5 baths, a pool, and a 3-car garage. And it's actually the biggest lot on that neighborhood, so it was extra good for film crew, production bands, and everything.
Also to dig a giant hole in the backyard.
Yep, and to dig a giant hole in the backyard. And so in 1981, the production team for Poltergeist came upon the neighborhood and filmed exterior shots and a few interiors. So the iconic muddy pool scene was right in that actual backyard. The long driveway, not just great for trick-or-treating, it was perfect for parking those trucks. And that house number was in the credits. All right there. Not too many interiors were done. So during the filming, MGM apparently offered to pay residents to temporarily relocate around the house while fake graves, caskets, and skeletons were set up around the neighborhood.
Do you know how much they were paid? I'm so curious. Like, if
I bet like nothing.
Because I'm like, man, if a movie was going to be shot on my street and they were going to pay me to like not be in my home for a month, I'm like, how much would they have to pay
I
me?
would imagine they would cover like your mortgage for the month.
Okay.
And where you're staying, maybe.
Okay. But insert not fake skeletons.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I was about to say. So
yes.
They didn't bother with fake bones in some scenes. Actual human skeletons were used because apparently in 1982 it was cheaper to buy a skeleton from a medical supply catalog than it was to make one out of plastic. Why not?
I was trying to understand. I even wrote it somewhere where I was like, why did they use real skeletons?
They weren't the only ones to do that.
That's why? That's so disturbing.
Yeah.
Also, did they tell the actors that they were real skeletons?
I'm glad you asked, Lauren. I have that too. So Jo Beth Williams, who did the pool scene, didn't know they were real skeletons until after filming. And apparently Jo Beth was one of the people who had weird things happen to her. She said that every day after filming the apartment that she was staying in, she came home and the pictures on like the gallery wall would either be crooked or in a different order than when she left. And she would fix it and then come back the next day. And
that's creepy.
So I don't know if it was like a drafty building or what, but that's
a drafty building reorganized her photos.
That freaked her out. So this is where we kind of get into the Poltergeist curse. And people love a good Hollywood curse. So it was all over the news. Dominique Dunn, and this is where Zach and them
is that Dominic Dunn's daughter?
Who's Dominic Dunn?
It is Dominic Dunn. It is Dominic Dunn. That is just Dominic Dunn.
No, I'm saying the famous author.
Are you asking if they're the same person?
No,
is that Dominic Dunn's daughter?
I'm Googling it. Dominic.
No, the person's name is just Dominic Dunn.
Dominique is a woman, is a girl.
Oh, Dominique. You're right. I'm saying it wrong.
I'm saying is Dominic.
Okay, I thought you were
father.
asking the same person.
Children. Dominique Dunn is the child of Dominic Dunn.
Wow,
Yeah.
really
The famous
named your-
author.
Huh.
Yes. Okay, well, Dominique Dunn, daughter of
But
Dominic
he does a crime. He does like horror, I think, right?
Oh, well,
Can you
that
look
makes
that
this
up?
even worse.
Wait, Dominique Dunn is in a movie called Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker, which now I really want to see.
But Dominic
Yeah.
Dunn does a true crime, I think.
American writer, investigative journalist, producer. Yes, he did write. Oh,
Did he write about her murder?
no. Wait.
Sorry.
Wait. What?
Spoilers, she was murdered. That's
She
one of the
wa-
first things. Dominique
He
Dunn.
wrote. Guys, stop it! Stop it! He wrote the "If I Did It: Confessions of the Killer" by O.J. Simpson.
I know. That's why I know Dominic Dunn.
I had
Wait.
no idea.
He's always on. He's
Was
always,
he like ghostwriting for OJ?
Yes.
Oh.
Char? That's how I know
Man.
he's always on.
He's got some bad karma, that guy.
I had no idea.
Well, his daughter was brutally murdered by her ex-boyfriend in 1982. Dana.
Man, the irony.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So she played the older sister, and then Heather O'Rourke, who played the little girl Carol Ann, they're here.
Mhm.
She died tragically at age 12 due to medical complications. I read somewhere septic. And then Julian Beck and Will Sampson, who were in the sequels, so creepy old dude. And then I believe the guy who played the shaman.
Yes, Will Sampson was the man who played the shaman, but he was actually a shaman.
Yes,
then
he actually performed.
He performed the exorcism on set for
Yes.
Poltergeist 2, I believe.
Yes. So both of them passed away as well. So cue the tabloids, late night specials, claiming that the movie, maybe the house, was cursed. Spoiler, the house is not cursed. Hollywood is just dark as hell sometimes, in my opinion. So enter Zach in April 2025. They rolled up with all their fucking gear. Dear God, I had whiplash from the gear.
I know. Don't worry. I have explanations for some of it because I was like, oh, Mel's probably having a heart attack as they introduced. A lot of it is stuff that they have introduced in past seasons. And because you've not seen them, you're like, what is happening? I don't understand what all these things are.
Well, you ask any good author who writes a series, more than one book, it's annoying, but you always have to reintroduce things in that first chapter. So they need to cater to people just joining in on the show because 29 seasons is a big commitment. Okay, so they go in there. Zach claimed the house gave him shadow person vibes. They did mention shadow people. Okay, shadow people. What's up? And unexplainable sensations. And, they say the house was built near sacred land, and all of a sudden it is on sacred land. And the current owners, the ones that were, or the previous owners that were there for 45 years, no complaints. Nothing happened. No weird.
Well, except for 3 people in their family died in the house. Not that the deaths weren't related at all. But
yeah, I mean,
we learn that there were 3 people who died in the home that I guess Zach thinks is haunting it. They did some really interesting recreation footage of those 3 people where they
that was weird. I didn't know that at first when they did like the 3-up or whatever of these people, and they were like 3 people died, and I was like, oh, are those the people? And I was like, oh no, those are creepy actors.
The way that they did it, I had the same thought where I was like, are these the actual people? And then I was like, no, there's no way that's the actual people who died.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. But they did tell us that the most recent death took place in 2020. Zach says that ever since he saw a photo of Heather O'Rourke sitting on the brick steps of the house, he just knew all the way deep down that he needed to investigate this house. I was like, oh, that's what ticked you off to needing to investigate this home?
Well, one of the funny things is the house was listed in 2024 after all that time for $1.55 million. It was sold in October 2024. Zach and them shot in October.
Yeah.
So
and he says that.
Yeah, and the second, and like clearly the woman who bought it is like a super fan Or those are the vibes I got. Was she was like a
Yes.
Poltergeist super fan.
Yes. She even said it. The ad magically appeared in her feed. And I was like, no, it didn't. You're
Yeah.
a Poltergeist fan. The algorithm showed it to you.
No, she said she had a feeling that the house was available too.
Yes. That
But-
I was gonna say, I was surprised. I would not have put it past him for him to buy that house, because he buys all of
That
the
is weird.
like memorabilia, and like when he said like the house was up for sale, I'm like, I could totally see him buying that house.
I think he would have. I don't know if he knew it was for sale, and I think he was actually upset that.
I think he was bitter towards that
Yeah,
lady.
because there's at one point he says to her, like, "You sure you still want to live here?
Sure
Like,
you wanna
if you
move
don't,
in?"
I'll pay you to move out."
Yeah.
But he says that there is a reason we were allowed to have access to this place a month after it was sold. He says there is a reason why we were.
I wonder if she
reached.
contacted them
She
before
did.
she started like doing work on it. You know,
He specifically said there is a reason why we were reached. He doesn't
Mm.
further explain, but I was like, I think he's saying reached out to. Like she
Yeah.
reached out to them. And I was like, okay, I guess that she reached out to him.
Yeah.
she totally put that TV in there too. She's like, I'm gonna put
No.
this TV in here.
No, Zach did. right?
Production
yeah.
put that TV in there.
They
I was like,
dressed it up like the set.
You know what's
Yes.
crazy is that house had not been touched.
no, the wallpaper on the wall was still
Yeah.
like from the
Yeah.
70s.
I mean, they lived there for 45 years, so it
Mhm.
makes sense. But I do have more stuff on what happened on set from other crew members.
Okay, tell us a little bit more.
So Zelda Rubinstein, who's in my favorite movie, Teen Witch. She plays the eerie premonition lady.
Not Blake Lively's sister.
No,
Mm.
not Robin Lively. She plays the iconic medium Tangina. She was only on set for 6 days, but during a press interview, she mentioned seeing a strange vision while filming, a flash of light she couldn't explain. Shortly after, she found out her mother had passed away. Whether it was a coincidence or nothing more, or something more, it's up to the ghosties. Additionally, there were lights that exploded on set. My guess would be is because they were hot lights and they got too hot. But there were multiple reports of light fixtures and equipment randomly exploding or malfunctioning with no technical explanations. And
Union wasn't involved.
Yeah, there was no OSHA regulation.
yeah, I don't know. We could either chalk it up to electrical issues, maybe some cheap 80s wiring, but spooky. There were some mysterious set fires, which were likely due to these electrical issues. During Poltergeist 3, the set caught fire and burned down entirely, causing major delays. While that was a different location and movie, it is often included in the legend. And then crew members were freaking out, feeling reportedly sick, anxious, or uncomfortable on set, especially during spiritual or ritual scenes. I think that's just kind of normal. Like, I would feel a little creepy doing stuff like that. Psychology,
Sorry, did we discuss whether or not they knew it was on ancient burial grounds before filming?
It's not.
It's not clear. It's not, as far as we know, it's not actually built on ancient burial grounds. That is just the theory.
That's what Zach, because he talks to the elders and they're like, yeah, all of this land was Chumash land. And he's like,
And they say they were there for 13,000 years. There's no way they can know whether or not that was a burial ground.
I know that theory has existed for a long time. So it's not before this investigation. So I know that theory has existed
But
for
there's
a while.
no proof
yeah,
that this was actually
A burial
burial ground.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying that this whole like curse of the Poltergeist movie has existed for a really long time.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, how long has this theory
that the house
been around?
Like, did they write the movie or did they pick
Exactly.
the
Oh,
house?
they wrote
That-
the movie first.
Okay.
And then they picked the location.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
so
a
that
literal
makes sense.
location scout that Steven Spielberg did. It was
And
not.
they probably said, "Oh, this was actually like we know this was native land, so this is a great location." Because
Okay,
of
so
the
yeah, so
mountains."
they knew it was native land, and then they
Mhm.
picked the location. Is
Yeah.
what I'm asking.
Yeah, yes,
probably.
Okay.
But
it doesn't seem like it's a secret that this is native land.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like if you live in Cherokee County, you're on old Cherokee land.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you're on old Cherokee land.
Okay, not to triangulate myself, but I do live in Cherokee County, and I don't want to think that I'm potentially being haunted. And Zach, stop shushing us.
Oh my God, the shushing in the microphone is like actually painful.
Yes.
Okay. What were we just talking about?
Oh, I have one final thing. There was
Okay.
an exorcism. It wasn't like a full-on Vatican certified
By the
power of Christ compels you type of thing.
It was by the shaman, right?
Yes, but it was by
Okay.
one of the cast members. It was more of like a spiritual cleansing ceremony, and it wasn't during filming. It happened after production wrapped. And it was initiated because people on set were so freaked out by the mounting weirdness. And Will Sampson is the one, the Native American actor who played the shaman Taylor in Poltergeist 2. And he was also a real life medicine man. After hearing stories about the strange happenings and the whole real skeletons thing, he volunteered to perform a spiritual cleansing ceremony to set and clear any bad energy, and happened after a lot of the tragedies began unfolding. So it's kind of like a just in case cleansing, if you will.
But I think it also like gave the crew, like, even if it didn't
Just a
actually
peace
do
of
anything.
mind.
Yeah, I think they
Yeah.
all just needed a peace of mind
Yep.
at that point.
Yep.
I wanted to insert my shaman experience. So I don't think we've gotten into my actual like paranormal experience yet, but
No, you'll have to tune into Roseanne readings for that.
yes. So, but when I did have my paranormal experience, my mom is very like in tune with her spiritual side. She knew a shaman. She came to our house. I mean, she had a shaman come to our house and had them cleanse our house. So
I love that so much.
I know, isn't that
I'm
awesome?
actually surprised. Like, the way you've explained your life growing up with you and your sisters, I wouldn't be surprised if like I had seen you guys on an episode of like Unsolved Mysteries or something where like you had like a crazy haunted experience and were like fully interviewed about it.
There's still time.
Yeah, you know, it could still happen.
Yeah.
You hear that, Unsolved Mysteries?
I know, Unsolved Mysteries. Hit us up.
Lauren
Yeah.
claims she would never commit murder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, we had a shaman come to our house and cleanse it. So, but more to come in Roseanne readings on that.
I
But,
cannot wait to learn more.
but I have a shaman story. So
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Well, after the blessing, people kept dying still, so I don't know how well it worked.
I'm sorry, we're not laughing at
We
people
are
dying.
not laughing at Heather O'Rourke dying. That is horribly tragic.
No, all of these people. I mean, one guy was killed, but with like by an axe.
murder.
and
My
all of
God.
it is all like Final Destination.
Truly.
shit.
Truly.
It's not like peaceful
No,
like natural stuff. It's like very.
I do think one of them had cancer, so that's, you know.
yeah, I
Not
like.
that
I,
that's. I have
I-
cancer, so I can say it. Not that
But-
cancer is super easy or anything, but
I wrote it down, and I was like, okay, this guy died of complications of like a heart and lung transplant, and this guy died of bone cancer. Okay, those are like normal things. Okay, Heather O'Rourke died at 12 years old. Okay, that's suspicious. This guy died by being killed with an axe, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that might be one step too far.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm suspicious.
Yeah.
for sure.
So thank you so much for all of that insight, Mel. I mean, Nick,
Definitely paints a picture.
definitely.
Yeah, it was interesting. And it was interesting to listen to Zach like
try to explain it.
weave his magical web as he does.
It is like a little like golden thread that he weaves.
Listen, I'm tapped in.
I know you are. I know. Don't I
So-
love that about you?
After they get to the house, the guys stand around Zach. He speaks to them
It's
like
so
he is
weird.
a school teacher. He talks about how no one has investigated the curse of the Poltergeist house or the Poltergeist movies until now. He asks the guys about what is this house supposed to be built on in the movie? And they all answer like they're little kids. They're like, a
So
burial
awkward.
ground, sacred ground, like all talking at the same time, like raising their hands. And I was
It's
like,
so
what is
weird. I wrote the
happening?
same thing. Like they're just awkwardly standing there listening to him and being forced to nod. Why doesn't he just talk to the camera?
Or
It's
like
so
just
awkward to watch.
have a normal conversation. And then Zach's like, right, guys, good job.
It's
On
so
a
weird.
sacred burial ground.
He's like, I've got a surprise for you. You've been good little boys and girls.
Yes. He's like, okay. And my favorite part was he was like, and we have a surprise for you guys. You'll never guess who it is. It's the actual psychic advisor who worked on the set of the film.
That's not like a normal guess.
No, and
I think that's awesome. And you know what? That actually reminds me of just like all of the seasons of Ghost Adventures is like they're really good at just like getting people close to just like all of just the hauntings
mhm.
and the experts. Like they've always been really good at just
No, the guys did not seem excited about the psychic, but I was super excited. I was like,
super
ooh. I was like, we get a psychic
yeah.
advisor.
I didn't know that they had a psychic advisor on the set of
I'm
Poltergeist.
trying to remember, Char, you'll know. I'm trying to remember the Manson murders and just like they're really good at finding people really close to like the actual events.
Yeah.
They'll really dig deep on like people who are super connected.
Well, I'm glad they do some good investigating in their investigation.
Oh,
Yes.
hush.
We saw so much growth in this episode, guys.
Absolutely.
Guys,
So
guys.
much growth.
I'm not completely sure, but I wrote this at the very end of my notes. I don't think Zach shushed anybody.
No,
he didn't.
He didn't.
There's a new thing he does. There's a new thing he does.
Mm.
Roll.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
roll.
Yeah. Yelling at
You
the,
know
I did
what?
write that down, yelling at the poor little DP.
The poor little DP, and it was the only female that we saw on set other than the psychics. Psychics, plural, everybody. But she's the only person that he was yelling at. And I was like,
I
oh,
know.
come on, Zach. You were so good. You were doing so good. But so we learned that the psychic advisor was Jill Cook Richards. And then Zach says, this is great. Ladies and gentlemen at home, Billy J. Aaron, this is an absolutely iconic investigation. For the first time, we're not just investigating a house, we're investigating a curse.
I mean, that is true, though. I agree.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I
yes.
can't speak to
I mean, everything they've done has been pretty localized. If you
They've
think
never,
about it.
I don't think they've ever investigated an actual curse before.
Yeah, everything's been very local.
So we move to, okay, again, this was a 2-hour episode. So they bounced around a lot. They were inside the house. They were outside the house. There
You
was
say
a lot that
you
happened.
say bounced around, but I did have a note that they were much more organized with their investigation.
The investigation itself, yes. It was the setup prior where it was like, I was like, oh, is this the lockdown? No, is this the lockdown? Wait, is this?
Okay.
I actually didn't think they were going to do a lockdown.
Okay.
Yes,
No, they never actually did the lockdown.
Yeah, they don't.
He says it. He's like, and we're about to start our lockdown, but they don't show us the door getting
There's
locked.
never an actual lockdown because
yeah.
no one's ever going to actually like leave.
They walk in, and as they're walking into the house, of course, Zach has to do they're here.
He did that like 13 times. The theatrics to me felt like they were living out their little 80s poltergeist.
Oh,
boy dreams.
totally.
They were
Well,
fanboying like fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
I
Yes.
got it.
Which I get.
understood.
Yeah, I understood the fanboying, but I'm like, that's what this is.
So-
Totally.
No, that was 100% what it was, which
Yeah.
is why at the end, I think Zach was so surprised by how much activity they actually caught, because he admits that he felt like it was a stretch, that they were going to even catch anything, which I was like, this is talking about the growth, the glow up that Mr. Zak Bagans has had. I was like, good for you that you're acknowledging like, hey, I really didn't think we were going to catch anything here.
Yeah.
And then
Well, he
like,
said that about the Riddle House.
oh yeah, he did in the Riddle House say like he wasn't sure, that he was skeptical of that place.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, grounding ourselves.
Yes.
So Zach walks through the house, pointing out places that things took place in the movie. So he points out the kitchen, the living room, like there's little spots here and there that he's like, oh, this happened here and this happened there. One of the BJs, because I still don't know which one was which, said
They do kind of look alike, which
so-
doesn't help.
I
do.
find there was
They do.
one specific point where I did figure out which one was which, but at the beginning I was like, I don't know which one is which.
Billy is more talkative. One of them's quiet.
This is how I said.
Billy is bigger, I think.
Jay has a dark beard, and then I said Jay dog, Jay dark. That's how I remember who Jay is.
Why dog? Why is dog in there?
Because I needed something like what is it called? Like an anagram or whatever. Like what are the like
As long
something-
as it makes sense to you, Charlie.
it
That's
all
what
it
matters.
all clicked. It all clicked up here for me. I don't know where the dog
Good.
came from. That
I was like, does he look like a dog to you?
No.
Did he have a dog on his shirt?
no, it's just the dark.
Hmm.
The dark beard, J dog. J dark is how I got there.
Okay.
Look, guys, I think I might be autistic. It's fine.
Oh, I'm definitely what is it called?
Like I think I'm on the spectrum.
Neurodivergent. I'm
Yes.
definitely that.
Billy is the one with the 5 o'clock shadow. He does not have a dark beard. Anyway, one of them said, "It's really heavy in here, dude," as they're walking around. They immediately go to the living room that has a super old 70s remote. Zach turns it on, and Aaron is like a little kid and gets all excited. And I was like, this is clearly put here by production, which Zach does later address and admits, like, I couldn't. He basically says, I couldn't have come to this house and not had like the TV with the static. And so he admits that they placed the TV there on purpose.
Yeah.
So that made me happy because I was like, there is no way that TV was just sitting
I
there
thought
in
it
that
was
living
just-
room.
The woman had like you bought even the owners had a TV like that. Like it wouldn't surprise me if you lived there to have the most iconic thing from that film in the house. So
I also wouldn't be surprised if afterward they asked her like if she wanted to keep that TV and if she kept it because she seems like she's such a fan of the show.
Zach would keep that shit.
No, you
No way.
You think that they're gonna leave the TV from the movie there? No, that's just gonna be archived.
Yeah, but that's not the
In
TV
his
from
museum.
the actual movie. It's just a 70s TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying like from the movie.
No. So they turn it on. The TV starts playing static, and Aaron is like, "Yo, oh my god, bro, I just got chills." So the TV plays the static. Aaron then leans down to put his hand against the TV static, like Carol Ann does in the movie. Zach, of course, is like, "Move over, Aaron. I've got to do this." So he is like, "Okay, we need a shot of me." He slowly squats down in front of the TV with his left hand on his hip and his right hand on the TV, and he longingly stares into the TV like he's channeling
He's
the spirits
worshiping
in that
it.
moment. The new homeowner, Rachel, says she first discovered this house was for sale, but she actually felt like she already knew it was for sale. She just didn't know how or why she knew that. She said that she didn't see the ad for it for another week or two. She says it just kind of magically appeared in my feed.
A notification, maybe.
Or your
Okay,
algorithm,
I have
Poltergeist.
I have a thought because she's gonna renovate it.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be activity because there's activity once you start renovating.
Once you make changes.
Yeah,
That can, like the wallpaper.
Ghosts do not like renovations, so I'm so curious.
Yeah.
On like what happens once she starts to do that.
Right. I totally agree. Then they jump to a new piece of terminology for us. He says that in investigations, there is something called ITC. And then he looks to Billy and asks him to explain ITC.
I want us to insert a clip of this moment and do
Of what he's saying.
Of what he's saying or when he's saying it, and do like an active counting of how many times he says the word devices.
Okay, yes.
Because I'm pretty sure he says it 13 times.
Yes.
Sorry, you're not allowed to peel off your goatee.
It's irritating my skin right now. It's coming off. Sorry, guys.
You're good. I'm like very close to taking this wig off, so.
Oh my god.
My glasses hurt.
All right, you guys want to
Okay.
disrobe?
Disrobe.
All right.
We're taking a pause, a brief little spell. No spooky secrets, no ghost tales to tell. A moment to breathe, to sip, to unwind. The ectoplasmic dramas left behind.
I started a whole chart thingy for you. We'll go through it, but yeah. The SLS camera.
Well, I have no
yes.
idea what this thing Billy explained was because all I know is it's a device.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Billy says ITC is instrumental transcommunication. It's when you use electronic devices and use the electromagnetic field and devices to get the communication through those devices. And then there are many different types of ITC devices. We use several. Now, I understand what he's saying here, but as I wrote it down, I was like, Billy, this is a terrible explanation.
It's word salad. He just said word salad.
The worst part is that he should have just given us an example. You could have just said, here's an example of one of these devices. But he didn't say it. I was like, that's not helpful.
Instrumental transcommunication just means communication device.
Yes, because
Like-
instrument is a device.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I will translate what this means. So basically, what he is talking about is they will often use, and there are examples of this in this episode, like an SV7 or the ACFD,
Throw any
or
set of
whatever.
letters out there.
All the letters that they said. Or even there's something else called a polterpod.
That one I wrote down.
Yeah.
I think he made that one up though. That's just a spirit box.
It was a spirit box. A spirit box, basically what these do is that they're devices that will like rotate through frequencies. And they will often pick up the spirits can speak over when the frequencies are
A
rotating.
radio frequency.
They can speak over the radio frequency. I don't know exactly the science behind it, but it is pretty interesting. And I've seen some really, especially on kindred spirits.
Yeah, they use a lot of really good instruments.
They'll do spirit box sessions where they put their headphones on and they blindfold themselves.
I love that.
It's so good. And then they plug in the spirit box and the person with the blindfold and the headphones on will just say what they're hearing. And then somebody else is sitting there writing down what they're saying, but they're asking questions.
Yeah, so you know it's legit.
Did we just have a conversation about that?
No.
I'm like mega deja vu. Or I watched a trailer where it was like two guys were in a different set of prison or something, and one was asking the questions and one was receiving the answers.
That is exactly, maybe you dreamt it.
No, it was
Or you saw something.
It was a trailer that I watched.
So that's what they do on Kindred Spirits, and it's really sometimes it's what they.
It's my favorite thing that they do.
And sometimes they'll be in two separate rooms.
Yeah.
So like, there's no way that they're influencing each other, and the stuff that they'll get is wild. You're like, okay, there's no way, unless like they rehearsed it together or something. Like, it's kind of crazy. Anyway,
and that's what Chip Coffee. That's the show that Chip Coffee is on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Billy should not explain things in the future.
No, Billy was not good at it.
Or it not unscripted.
So we then move on to the Shumash people. So we are introduced to Beverly Folks, who is a Shumash and / he never says this. They refer to it, but he always only just says Shumash. They always say Shumash / Tataviam.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is it that he doesn't? I'm assuming that the origination of this like whole curse thing must have been from like the Shumash people, and that's why he keeps saying Shumash. But
Fernando, you wrote Fernando. Fernando Tatavian.
I wrote down whatever it said. So if
Shumash / Fernando. Fernando just doesn't sound very native.
I think that might be their name. Is that one of their names? Fernando?
No. It was Beverly Folks, who is a Shumash / I did misspell Tataviam. It's an M, not an N. She's a tribal elder. And then there was Cheryl Martin Perez, who it said she was a Shumash. And I think even when I wrote it down, I was like, Fernando. Shumash / Fernando Tatavium tribal citizen and the senator of the Shumash tribe.
Fun fact, that's like one of my favorite ABBA songs. Okay, continue.
Okay. Which one?
Fernando.
Oh, Fernando. I was like, which word did I say is
Fernando.
Guys, again, I think I'm neurodivergent.
That was my share Fernando.
It's beautiful.
Thanks.
Okay. We're also introduced to Dale Bingham, who is an archaeologist, and she is a lady named Dale. Which
I used to want to be an archeologist. Fun fact. Okay, keep going.
Thought you were going to say I used to.
I used to want to be a lady named Dale.
That is definitely what I thought you were going to say.
I love Fernando. I used to want to be an archaeologist in Egypt. Okay, go on.
Anyway, so
I used to want to be Indiana Jones.
So Zach asks roughly where the burial grounds would have been. Dale says Shumash and Tatavium.
Mm-hmm.
This is a hard one to say. Tatavium tribes have been on this land for a very long time. It's estimated 13,000 years. Cheryl, I love Cheryl. She's like, and we're still here. Sorry, but I like to say that.
Bitch.
Yep. Yeah.
She's like, y'all stole my land, but I'm still here, bitch.
Yep.
So
We
Zach,
sure did. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
we're so sorry, Cheryl. Please.
And
forgive
we're
us.
fucking cursing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you deserve it.
She's like, I'm not going to tell you where the burial grounds were.
Yeah.
You figure it out for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't you like to know?
Zach asks where the Shumash lived, and Beverly says it could have been right here and gestures around them. The Shumash and Tatavium.
Could have been.
Yeah,
it
could have
been right here.
She said that they lived all over that area. So then Zach starts talking about how the pool they were standing right next to the pool during this conversation. Zach starts talking about how the pool they were standing next to is where the hole was dug to build a pool for the movie. Not to build a pool, but if you've seen the movie, they built a giant hole, which was supposed to be like for a fictional pool
Okay,
in the
so
movie.
Us being in production,
Yeah.
and then building a huge hole in the backyard, like
I mean, Steven Spielberg production, though, Lauren.
that's what I'm saying. Like, could you imagine somebody coming to your house and being like, "We want to film a movie, and we're gonna dig a big ass hole in your backyard"?
My guess is that they said we need to dig a hole for the movie. We will put a pool in after.
Because they have
That
a
is,
pool.
Yeah. That is what
Free
I'm
pool.
guessing.
California.
Yeah.
That was just what was going through my mind. I'm like, can you imagine just like going to somebody's house and being like, "We want to dig a big ass hole in your backyard"?
I had the same thought. And then I was like, okay, they must have offered to put a pool in after
Or
they
to
dug
put
the
it back
hole.
to the way it was before.
Or the family said, just leave the hole. We wanted to put a pool in anyway. And then they didn't have to pay for the dig.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, because I'm just like trying to go through the logistics because we've all been there with like finding locations and like what you have to go through and
when they kept showing the clips from the movie, I just kept seeing just how big that hole was. And I was like,
oh, I know.
That's crazy.
Like they destroyed their backyard.
Yes, for sure. So Zach starts talking about how they dug this hole for the pool and that they used real skeletons in the ground. And he asks if this kind of activity could have caused a curse or instigated angry spirits. Beverly says it could.
Their responses were cracking me up. So they were like, I mean, maybe.
She was like, it could. I've been involved with burials. And I was called on one where it was right in a neighborhood. Zach says, could disturbing the remains cause a curse? And she says, as beautiful as these homes are, even if they wanted to give me one, I wouldn't want to move into that house. And Zach asks why. And she says, because I know that I would feel like I was invading the spirits. So she clearly is just kind of feeding into what Zak is asking her. Zak asks, did the film crew accidentally disturb a sacred burial ground when digging the pool? And did the use of real human skeletons combined with a very emotional scene unlock a gateway to a forbidden dimension that has injected this property with a curse?
Not the gateway.
So many questions to be answered.
Yeah.
We move into the house, and Zak says he sent Billy inside the home to capture some EMF baselines. I was very proud at this moment because I was like, you guys are learning science. In order to conduct a good experiment, we need baselines instead of them just wandering into a place. Granted, it's a long time since 2008. It's been almost 20 years, I guess. So Billy shows us that he scanned the whole upstairs. He hasn't gotten a single reading higher than 1. And then Aaron is also walking around at this time capturing photographic evidence on this like little Polaroid camera. Like the fact that they were using Polaroids because it was harder for them to try to say like the photo had been doctored in some way because it was a Polaroid instead of a digital photo.
Unless they took them the night before.
Okay, but then what are they gonna do to the Polaroid? They're gonna go.
No, they're like
scan it into the computer and then
Just
doctor
shut
it.
up,
And
the
Mel.
PA
Mel.
hands in different Polaroids that they. Okay. Guys, they're called props.
Okay. Anyway, I appreciate that they are trying a lot harder, and
Yeah.
also I am more likely to believe a lot of what they're saying because I can tell that they now watching. We watched in 2008. We're watching in 2025. I can tell that they have been criticized up and down about not being believed. And they are going to like all these lengths to try to show people that this is not fake. Like that is, if anything, I'm like, okay, I got to give them a little bit of credit because they clearly are like, have a chip on their shoulder about people thinking that what they're doing is fake.
That's fun. I'm going to wait till Lauren gets back.
We're taking a pause, a brief little spell. No spooky secrets, no ghost tales to tell. A moment to breathe, to sip, to unwind. The ectoplasmic dramas left behind.
Yes, so I don't want to be like the person that I'll keep some of my thoughts in. But I did struggle with
You can be honest.
the doll in particular. I struggled with because he brought that doll.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that one I was like,
okay, we'll get to the doll in a second. But
it's like,
so
the doll to follow you guys about this fucking crazy tech. Who's to say you don't have a vibrator in it that you turned on?
Right. Or I mean, I was just like, there
Something
could be a fishing line tied.
Yeah, maybe like a fishing line and not a vibrator.
It doesn't even need to be a vibrator. Could be something
know why.
a lot cheaper.
I don't know why vibrator is the thing that I said. But
do you stick vibrators in dolls? Is that like a thing
how
that we
I
need to
scare,
know?
it's how I scare people. It's my thing.
Anyway.
Right does.
Welcome back, Lauren.
Oh, there you are, Lauren. Did you fall in?
Oh, did we lose her again?
I'm eating.
Oh, welcome back.
Okay. You went for a potty break and never returned. So.
I mean, I went and got water. I got
this is
champagne.
long. I need to use the bathroom. I'm hungry. There's a lot going on. Okay.
Okay. So
yeah, with smartphones too. That was really weird for me. That they were like using smartphones.
That they
film.
had actual smartphones.
Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry, we paused for a second, and if you notice, Melanie has gotten changed since.
Oh yeah.
So
Sorry.
just for those watching on YouTube, I didn't want you to be a little confused.
Yeah, it's still the same day. I am unfortunately allergic to latex, so most costumes, especially of the cheap variety, are made with latex in them. And
I needed to overnight us costumes because I put this idea together
It's okay.
yesterday.
Even like expensive costumes have latex in them. I had to get a specially made wig for cancer without latex in it. So not on you, Charlie. I just had to take that wig off and that shirt because it was making me sneezy. So
No, you're all good.
but I do have Nick Groff hair, which is like hat hair, but
That's
it's
fine.
after you wear a wig to look like Nick Groff.
You look gorgeous. Stunning.
Stunning.
Okay, so Rachel Powers is on the screen again, and she says that her first time visiting the house was for the tour of the house, and nothing happened while she was on the tour. But then when she came back for the inspections, she did feel like she got kind of dizzy and that she felt like she was being pulled down, which I didn't fully understand. I was like,
I don't know,
pulled
sounds
down.
like she was just about to pass out. Frankly.
Yeah. She said she felt nauseous and lightheaded. And then she made sure to tell us that she was a pretty healthy person, so that it was out of character for her. And I was like, honey, that actually to me would mean you probably should go get checked out at the doctor if you've never experienced anything like that before and it's suddenly happening. But
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so the cruise starts up the stairs. Zak has a female camera person with him. And I was like, yay, there's a lady crew member. But then all of a sudden, Zak starts shouting commands at her. And he's like,
This is the
roll,
moment where I was
roll.
like, yes, there he is, yelling at the poor little DP. That's the Zak we know and love.
He was very intense about this. They go inside and Aaron explains that while he and Billy were trying to capture their preliminary readings, the lights in the hallway near the stairs started flickering on and off. Apparently, Rachel was standing right there on the stairs when it happened, and she agrees that this happens too. They didn't capture it on camera, so Zak, being extra conscious of people thinking everything is fake, asks Rachel to please confirm as a third-party witness that this actually happened. She's like, yes, it happened. Zak grabs the EMF and asks if there's somebody there. The EMF reader immediately spikes to 10, and Zak says, this is why we use scientific instruments. Thank you, Zak.
I really do. I am like very curious about the origin of all of these instruments and how it's studied and how do you decide whether it's a success or not.
Okay, there is an episode of Ghost Adventures that we'll have to find. We're gonna find it.
Yeah.
There's one episode where they end up meeting the family who developed, I think, like either the spirit box or I think it was the spirit box.
What is a spirit box?
So there's a few different. A spirit box is a type of instrument, but there's a few different types. So like they talk about the SV7. That is an example of the spirit box, or the Poltergeist. That is a spirit box. It's the thing where, like we were saying before, where it's the radio frequencies that it rotates through really quickly.
Is that where you hear words, or
Where
is
you
it
can
when
hear-
you see words?
You can hear, no, not where you see the words, where you can hear them.
Okay.
But it's such a sad episode because the man who developed it because his daughter passed away and he was trying to find ways to communicate with her. It is like one of the most gut-wrenching episodes, and they do like an investigation to speak with her, and like they're regularly talking to her on the spirit box, and it's just like it's so heartbreaking, but it's a great episode because he was the creator of whichever one it was. I forget which device it was, but he was like the person who developed it. So we'll have to find that one.
Mel, the one that where you could,
I forgot you were there. You're just
welcome back,
black
Zak.
void.
the one where you can see the words is the ovulus.
Oh, I've seen that before
on like
in
another
a
show
movie or something. Yeah, like that one. I had like a loose understanding of, and then I think I'd seen the stick figure thing,
which is what I had talked about in a previous episode.
That's
I
the
think
SLS.
with, like, it's like the Connect guy,
yeah,
like stick figure man.
Oh, that's the one where the
That's the
Xbox,
Xbox.
is the reason that
Yes,
that makes sense.
it's like all of the God, I forget what it's called, but you see all those like little dots.
Yeah, the
and
little
it's like
filters.
It's the
Yeah.
SLS.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we meet the advisor from the movie, Jill Cook Richards. She's a platinum blonde hair, and she is dressed to impress, wearing a blue sequined blazer, red lipstick, and a black turtleneck. Later on, I realized that Jill also had little sparkly extensions in her hair as well, and I was like, "Oh my god, I want to give Jill a big hug!" Like
She
she's
seems
so
very
cute.
like California old lady. You know?
Yes.
Like
I
yeah.
loved the addition of the little like sparkly extensions.
yeah. She was a fun vibe.
Yes. she shows Zach a letter from Brian Gibson, the movie's director, in which he's like basically thanking her for all of her work on the show. And then Zach starts reading the letter, and he thanks her for offering him her thoughts and opinions about the astral plane. So Mel, I wanted to know if you know what an astral plane is, or if that was confusing.
Let me roll up my metaphysical sleeve. I grew up watching Charmed. So
Okay.
I do know what the astral plane is because Prudence Halliwell,
Yes.
could astral project. And astral projection is like a huge part of it. And like I told you guys, when I was younger, I really wanted to be a witch. And I really wanted all of these things to desperately be true. And I remember like looking up, not necessarily spells, but, you know, it was during the time of like
light as a feather,
stiff as a board. And I think I went down some sort of like early 2000s weird website thing where it like taught like how to astral project. And I remember trying it in my room. Like, I think I tried for like an hour. I
still try to this day.
Obviously, I failed. I just that, and then my friend Natalie and I like did a Ouija board together and like blessed it with a candle and like turned all the lights off. I'm sure.
To this day, I will lay in bed like before it's time to go to sleep, and I'll be like, okay, I'm still awake right now. Like, let me get into a calm, meditative state and see if I can leave my body. And nothing happens. I fall asleep.
Yeah, I used to try to train my body to lucid dream too. Like dream psychology and all of that is super interesting to me. So I want to be able to tap into stuff. I just, yeah. Back to
our
astral
show.
plane.
Zach asks Jill if she's seen Poltergeist 1 and asks if she picked up on or learned later about the real human skeletons used in the film. He asks if she found anything at the house that could have initiated the curse. Jill says, well, to me, everything started when they dug the hole. Okay, so Jill's leaning into the theory about the hole. Zach says that when they started production on Poltergeist 2, Brian Gibson also wanted to use human remains. This is where I did not realize.
When she said that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You didn't learn from the curse?
From the first one.
The first one?
Or from like deeply offending the cast member that you didn't tell that to?
like I'm sorry, all the people died from the first movie? Didn't?
Yeah. Well, and granted, by the time they got to the second movie, not everybody had died yet. Like Heather O'Rourke was still alive.
Yeah.
But still, you would think they would have learned. I know, Mel, you said that it was cheaper to use real skulls.
Yes. No, I was just going to say, because I would either like to give my body to science or I want to become a tree, but that's like a whole other conversation.
Same.
If I had given my body to science and became a medical cadaver, well, I don't think I would ever think my body would also be used in like a Steven Spielberg movie.
Well, that's the thing is I don't know that you know what? Maybe
it would depend on the movie whether or not I would be upset about that as a ghost.
If I was so desperate to be famous, then maybe I would be like, look, I couldn't make it in life.
Yeah.
So in death, feel free to use my skeleton in all of the films.
I only
just
like
you're not
really
but I would
cool
have like
skeleton.
a clause. I would have a clause that's like you can't do anything like weird or like gross with my body. You can like no sexual
but
things.
Why not?
No sexual things to my skeleton.
Why not?
Because I want to be famous and I'm classy. I don't want my
classy bag of bones.
I don't want like there's no nudity or no sex scenes for my
There's skeleton's gonna be as nude as they get.
There is no sex scenes for nudity. My skeleton.
You draw the line at nudity.
Yeah.
With your skeleton.
No true blood Buffy the Vampire skeleton Charlie for you.
No.
All right.
But they could use me like if they need a skeleton like sitting pretty at a table.
Okay.
My skeleton could do that.
All right.
Okay, so Jill says she got into a fight with Brian because he wanted to use the real skeletons and she told him that he cannot do that. You cannot mess with the spirits like that. She says she told him, I'm hearing voices all the time saying, don't do this.
Why did
Brian.
the psychic have so much power? I don't think she had a lot of power on this film set, but she sure makes it sound like she had a lot of sway.
Yeah, she makes it sound that way. They got into a little tiff about it. Okay, so they go to head inside of the house with Jill. And as they approach the front door, they realize that the front door is locked.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, this was, I know, Mel thinks somebody on production locked the door.
All right. I guess I was still kind of like, what is
even
going
happening?
on? Where are we? Like, the lights are on. Like, I guess I was still in the, like, the lights are on. Nothing can happen yet. I didn't think we were supposed to be scared, or I don't know.
Yeah. So
Like nothing can happen with the lights on, kind of.
well,
yeah, but also I was like,
rule.
this crew seems massive, so it didn't like seem crazy to me that somebody, I don't know. It just didn't seem like a thing to me with how they were going all over the place. But
So what happened was
What had happened was
the front door was locked. Zach jokingly says, they locked us out. They don't want us in. But then we actually hear Rachel say that the keys are inside of the house. So one of the guys tells Zach that Rachel says she didn't lock the house, so she's not sure how the front door is locked. Zach confirms that the front door is not an automatic lock or anything like that. And then he asks Rachel as she's unlocking the door with her second set of keys, are you sure you want to move in here? Because I'll buy this house from you for $1.3 million. I don't know how much
I'm
you
going to
spent
turn
on
this
it.
into my haunted museum.
This will be Haunted Museum Point 2 in a neighborhood. So they finally get inside of the house. They walk into a bedroom and Jill says, I'm living in here. I just heard that. She says she heard a voice say to her, I'm living in here. Zach pulls out a recorder to try to catch an EVP session. He says, did somebody just speak? Who is living in here? Is somebody speaking to Jill? Do you want to be heard? Are you a cast member from the movie? These questions killed me every time he keeps implying that somebody from the movie is in the house. I'm like, you do know they had full lives outside of the Poltergeist movie.
and probably other films.
Also, they didn't die at the house.
Yeah,
Which you don't have to, and we've said this before, you do not have to haunt the place you died necessarily. But in this case, I'm just like, these were actors in a movie. I don't know that this movie was the only important thing in their lives, especially all of the adults. Like maybe for Heather O'Rourke, this would have been like the biggest thing to her because she hadn't been in that many other things. But
and also because they had the object that was associated with
yes,
her.
Exactly. But like for all of the other people who had passed away who were adults, I'm like,
I'm sure the dude who was axe murdered is haunting the guy who murdered him, and same with the girl who was murdered is probably choosing the ex-boyfriend over
the Poltergeist house.
Yeah.
The random house that
house that they were in
Yes.
They filmed in for 12 months, 18 months, something like that. So is somebody speaking to Jill? Do you want to be heard? Are you a cast member from the movie that was filmed here? Are you a member of the family that lives here? Jill starts saying, with her mouth closed and pointing to her mouth. She says that this is indicating that the person couldn't talk. She said the answer is yes, that it was one of the family that owned the house, like lived in the house, that died there. Which makes the most sense that that family owned the house for 45 years. They feel comfortable there. It would make sense that they would be the people that would still be there.
I don't understand why they couldn't talk.
Yeah,
though.
I mean, that I don't know either.
They never explained that, and I really wish that he had asked the former owners if like somebody who passed maybe either died of like throat cancer or something. Like, did they have a condition or something that would prevent them from speaking?
Wait, something I found it really funny. And this is just Zach in general. I think he did this with Sheila, the psychic or the medium. Is when she started the she's like, Zach's like, you okay? Just the way he like, it's like,
What's happening, Jill?
Are you okay?
This was not in our script. What are you doing right now?
That made me laugh.
And so Jill says, and I really liked this because this is a theory that I have played. I have lots of theories that I don't talk to tons of people about, but they're things I think about regularly. So this is something I often think about, and Jill said it. So she says, if people don't believe in something, then they stay right where they were. Their spirit stays there. The body destroys itself, which the body doesn't destroy itself. It just either ages or gets sick or whatever. It dies. But the spirit stays because it doesn't know where else to go.
And I made a note. Mel, you're staying right where you are.
That's not true. I said I don't believe in ghosts. Not that I don't believe in an afterlife. There's a difference between
There is
ghosts
a difference.
and an afterlife.
Yes. But this is actually something that I had been mulling over for a while, that what if whatever happens to you in the afterlife is really just based on whatever you believe is going to happen to you in the afterlife. And
That'd be nice.
Like if you believe nothing's going to happen, then nothing happens. If you believe there's a heaven, then you go to a perceived heaven. If you believe you're going to hell because you think you're this terrible person, then you go to a perceived hell.
If I believe I'm going to live on a cotton candy cloud, I'm going to live on a cotton candy cloud.
Potentially. I think it all ties back to like the idea, similar, like when we were talking about energy, the fact that like laughter can be a good medicine because you are thinking that you're happy and you're in a good place, and so you're getting this like happy energy or whatever, this healing positive energy. I'm not saying that heals all diseases.
You create your own reality.
Manifesting.
Yes. Yes, manifesting things. So I'm like, okay, well, what if when we die? Because there's been so many times where I've seen like psychics talk about how somebody on the other side is at peace, or
you're in limbo, or you're in purgatory, or
I've heard so many different things that it almost leads me to believe that not everybody's experience is on the other side. Anyway, that was my tangent. So she says, this guy, the guy who couldn't speak, he didn't know where to go. He didn't have faith in anything. So Zak decides to play back the recorder to see if they caught anything. While Jill was talking, they caught a voice over her voice saying, died, almost as if the spirit is realizing for the first time that he's dead, or he's saying, I've died, or I'm died. No, that makes no sense.
I don't know. I didn't hear die.
I've
It sounded longer than the word die to me.
I think it might have said I've died. That would make more sense to me because it did sound a little longer. They go out by the pool. Zak asks again if the scene of the skeletons in the hole could have angered the spirits. Jill says, oh, I know it did. I told the director that. I'm like, I bet you did, Jill. I said, what are you doing? She had told him that he was really messing with very angry spirits. Jill says that this hole was the main thing that really bothered her out of everything. So we finally see the nerve center. Welcome to Nerve Center, Mel.
Why is it called Nerve Center?
Because it is the nerve endings. It's where you get to see and feel everything that is happening across the entire body that is this house.
Oh.
I don't know. I just made that up. But
like your central nerve center.
Like the central nervous system.
Like a brain that is operating everything else in the house. I don't know. I'm making all of this up, but that's what I imagine they mean when they say nerve center.
Okay.
It's the spine. So this is basically where they sit to monitor everything that's going inside of the house during the investigation. Oh, Lauren, are you comfy?
This is a long episode, so Charlie's the last to hang on.
We're getting super comfy. Any minute now, this t-shirt's coming off and you're all just going to see my bra. No, that won't be happening. Okay. So the nerve center is basically where they sit to monitor everything that is going on inside of the house during the investigation. Just in case something happens, they can catch it in real time. So they can see what's going on all the different cameras. And they have baby monitors in there so they can hear what's going on in the different rooms. So
don't they just have... Okay, the baby monitor thing is funny because, well, one, I brought it up not too long ago, and I was like, "Oh, look, there's."
But the silly thing is, they didn't use a video one. I was like, they don't have video baby monitors; they just have the audio.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the video is one of the things that they do use, the infrared ray or whatever. But isn't there some like ghost techie company that sells basically baby monitors as ghost equipment? It just was funny to me that it was literally...
Well, if they don't,
monitor.
we need to.
I was just going to say,
monitors and not
hey guys, head to paranormalplayback.com to purchase yourselves. What are we going to call it? A ghost listening device.
A ghost monitor.
A spirit monitor.
A radio.
We are going to start selling spirit monitors.
A walkie-talkie that's just always in talk and listen mode.
Spirit monitor is a great term. It sounds just like spirit box. I think we're onto something, guys. So one of the BJs, don't know which one, shows Zak the photos from when they were getting baselines earlier, and they say that the last 3 photos show what looks like some sort of orb streaking across. The angle of the orb does not appear to be like a reflection coming from the light above them. And when they zoom in on the last one, they say it looks like a DNA strand, which is very strange. And I was like, oh my God, didn't the ectoplasm in the Houghton mansion look like a strand of DNA? It did. We said that. So
the mist.
The mist. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see the DNA strand in this photo.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like,
I just got excited because they used the same term we used.
Yeah.
So they said that the photos are of when Zak was seeing the spikes on the EMF reader and that the orbs maybe had something to do with the EMF readings. Zak says he's not fully convinced that these photos are paranormal. And I was like, but that, my friend, is growth.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Proud of you, Zak. Okay, so now we meet Brian, who is a neighbor who lived in Simi since 1971 and was around the neighborhood in 1981 while he was in college studying film. He says that he heard that Steven Spielberg was producing a movie, and he explains that he was a film student, so this was super exciting for him, and he whipped out his Super 8 camera and stood across the street with it for about 7 days straight, roughly 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Anyway, long story short, he says he snuck into the house while everybody was on lunch, and he found a mound of dirt inside of the home. He said the dirt was on cardboard, and he thought it was very strange that there was dirt inside of the house. This to me was so strange that he's trying to claim that this was like something paranormal.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm sure it was like a moving something for production.
It just seemed like, right, like maybe this was a something they shot that was cut out in the final edit.
I don't think he was saying, okay, so I understand what you guys are saying because I thought that too, but then Zak was saying later on that bringing the dirt inside is what was maybe causing.
He makes the link of like, could bringing soil into the house.
I don't think the strange part is having the dirt inside. I think what he's saying is just bringing the dirt inside. No, period, is what was.
Lauren, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
What I am saying is that Zak asks Brian if he witnessed anything strange, and this was Brian's story. And I was like, what? No, like
some dirt in the house.
You know what? Kudos to Zak for making a connection, because I was like, he was able to spin that story, and he was like, well, that's soil. And I was like, great point, Zak. Great point. But I don't know why that was Brian's story. It's like, that's a weird.
Yeah.
That to me, that was not the strangest of things if you've ever been on like production. So while the crew was setting up the shot, they saw a light on. So going back to our crew, not the crew of the movie. Sorry. I want to make sure I'm clarifying which crew we're talking about. The crew was setting up a shot and they saw a light on the second floor just get really, really bright and then drop down to normal light. And now it's super dim. We see the dim light in the upstairs window. And Zak says, literally, the movie is replicating right now. Rachel reassures us that no one is in the house at the moment. So peculiar. They find camera footage that actually captured the light anomaly in the window. What I thought was weird about this was that the light isn't just brighter, because they were talking about how bright it is, but it actually is like a wider flash of light than the light that's in the room. The light in the room is warm, and the flash we see is this like very, very white light. So I was like, that's odd.
That's what I love about them having like the nerve center and having them have cameras set up now. So that they can review their footage.
Yeah. So we get not just one psychic in this. I just hit my headphones. We get not just
excited.
One psychic in this episode. We have 2 psychics in this episode. I was so excited that we had a second psychic.
I know.
So we now meet.
Sorry, before you go to the psychic.
Yeah.
I did write how in this moment. Well, one, how weird it is that they do all these fake scenes of everything. Like, that was bizarre, the reenactments.
Oh, the reenactments are great.
Yeah, and then 2, it was so strange to me how he has, like, all these different people investigating, and he kind of just walks around and checks in with them. And it's like,
hey, George, how's it going?
Yeah, and then they
what are you capturing here?
Yeah, but they talk to him like he's this god, which he is in the paranormal world. He has like 30 fucking spin-offs. But it's just weird. It just, I felt disjointed from it because we're just following Zak rather than, and he's like guiding the story rather than being like, this is what we, I don't know. It was just like more it was more peripheral.
This is what I was saying before about like, I was getting pulled in and out of everything because we're bouncing around so much. I think the way that they did this was because they planned on making it a 2-hour episode. They did it like a little bit differently than they normally would. That was kind of like what I was getting from it.
I never really knew the plot, like what was going to happen. Normally you're like, okay, they're going to interview and then they're going to go in.
Right. I was like, commercial break. Okay, lockdown's next. Nope, no lockdown. Oh, second psychic. Okay, we got another psychic here. Like, I was trying to keep
the lights, or they're just or do we just have the lights on? Everybody's walking around. Lots of people. What are we doing? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their smartphones. We're switching to smartphones. Oh, we're checking in with Joe and Tammy. And it was
Mel is really struggling to jump from 2008 to
2025. They didn't even sit in the rooms. I was like, they just set up all this equipment and then they all sat in the garage with their brewskis and watched while baby monitors did their job. That's what I struggled with.
If I could get paid to do that, I would also do.
That was the way I would prefer to do it. I don't want to sit alone in a dark room, but like that's what I liked watching. I was all excited about Aaron sitting alone in a dark room, and now
we didn't get Aaron all by himself.
We barely got any Aaron, but yeah. Anywho, these are just my obviously direct. I like the initial episodes better. They're more, so far.
Okay, so we meet Tawny Lewis, who is a psychic medium, and she's got on a black leather bomber jacket and looks like she is not about to take any shit from Zak.
I Tawny.
I liked Tawny. I was like, ooh, okay, psychic medium Tawny, tell us more. So she tells us that she's very familiar with Simi Valley. She tells us that she's driven past this house often, which makes me question, like, is it on your route somewhere, or are you just like driving by here for shits and giggles to see what you feel? She says every time she drives by that she's drawn to the room above the garage, which is the same room that we just saw that light anomaly happen in. She says it feels like there's a man staring at me. Every single time she drives by, she feels like he's just standing in the window watching. As they enter the house, Tawny says she often gets feelings and she is immediately drawn to head upstairs. We now see through a thermo camera.
I wrote, what is this rainbow cam?
They never said what it was. I think it was a thermo cam. It looked like thermo. So I'm guessing thermo camera.
Is it the purple one?
No, it was
No.
rainbow.
It was the rainbow. It was
Oh.
like, it was definitely thermo, but I was impressed because in the past, like the most recent I had seen with thermo cameras, they're not very detailed, and this thermo camera was like
Okay.
extremely detailed. So she goes into one room and says the energy in here feels young, like young kids, and that it's actually kind of overwhelming. She said she's going back towards the door because she feels like it's telling her to get out. She says it's a lot of them. So I don't know if that was like all the children telling her to get out or if there's just like multiple spirits that she was feeling that with. But then she's drawn to 2 rooms, one of which has the light on. And Zak points out that this light had not been on, so they don't know how it got turned on. Tawny says these 2 rooms here is where I feel like that man is in here. It's a very depressing but also intimidating presence. Like, this is my property. This is my room.
I put SLS camera for the
I don't think that one was the SLS.
okay.
Because it was like picking up the sorry, Tatum's barking. That was my dog Tatum. It was picking up on like her body temperature, like she was all warm looking when she turned around. So I was like, it had to be thermo. I don't know why they used it. They didn't pick up any any
it
thermodynamics.
was like a random flash of rainbows, and then
It was just fun. Tawny says she keeps hearing I died, which is very similar to what Jill had heard. So there was some overlap there. She says that this man is very territorial. Tawny feels like this man is saying, just FYI, this is my house. So Rachel better watch out. So now she feels like the man is not the only spirit here, that it's a conglomeration. So like lots of spirits all together. She feels like he's tied to this particular area, but she said downstairs she feels like there's another male presence and then possibly even a woman. And Zak explains that there had been 2 male deaths here and 1 woman. And he says this was privileged information given only to us by the very private former owners. So she couldn't have known otherwise that those family members died here in this house. Unless she like read the newspaper and saw the obituaries or something, which is what I was thinking. Not that that's what happened, but
they wouldn't have been together. The obits.
No. That would have meant that she was like obsessed with the house and was like monitoring this family or something and like keeping an eye on every single person that died who lived in the house or something. I don't know. That was my stretch. My stretch thought was like maybe she's obsessed. So Jay says he did some research and he explains that the Shumash believed that the universe itself was divided into 3 planes of existence. That the first world is above, belonging to the spiritual beings. And Zak says like, oh, the sky beings. So you'll see like there's other episodes where they do Native American investigations. And so he's gotten very familiar with like, that's why he goes like the clouds, the sky beings, like he knows what they're talking about. Jay continues and says the middle ground is humans, so us. And then the below world is inhabited by monsters, which entered the human world after dark. So the monsters of the world below were thought to be malevolent, supernatural beings that always pose a threat to humans. Zak says, whoa! They're often described as grotesque, nocturnal, and misshapen. So they were like the evil of the evil. They are constantly a threat to human life. And I think it was at this point that I figured out that Jay was the one with the dark beard and Billy was the one with the 5 o'clock shadow. And with that, my friends, I think we've covered our first half of episode 1 of season 29. And we will pick back up from here where we head into our lockdown. Thank you so much for listening. We are really appreciative for all of our new Instagram followers and for everybody who's been supporting our show. And we hope you join us for part 2 as we head into the lockdown and investigation of the Poltergeist house. We are looking forward to explaining the rest of this to you guys.
And thank you for watching our first YouTube and hanging with us in costume.
Yes.
We started in costume.
We started in costume. We ended tired. But thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Oh, and until next time, guys.
See you in
See
the
you in
shadows.
Woo woo. Thank you for listening to Paranormal Playback. Please share, subscribe, and review. If you want to engage with us on the socials, we are at Paranormal Playback. And if you would like to email us your own ghost story, add the words ghost story to the subject line and send it to paranormalplaybackpod@gmail.com. See you next time.